what's up? Hello, my name is Emma and it is once again Mental Illness Awareness Week. If you have only found my channel in the last 11 months, you may not know that last year for Mental Illness Awareness Week, which is always the first week of October, I did a week's worth of videos related to mental health and books. So I talked about some mental health book recommendations, some books about mental health that were on my TBR, some books that personally spoke to my own mental illnesses. I had a discussion about the need for varying experiences in regards to characters with mental illness. I talked about some mental health books that I want to read in the future if they are written or will be written in the future. And finally, I shared my personal mental illness story. So if you want to check out all of last year's videos for Mental Illness Awareness Week, as well as the other many videos about books and mental health that I do have on my channel, my mental health books playlist will be linked below. So in honor of Mental Illness Awareness Week, I wanted to post a second recommendations video with all new mental illness books, but unfortunately, Mental Illness Awareness Week isn't taking place this year on this channel because it is taking place on a brand new channel that I just launched today. What? I have finally launched the channel that has been in the works for over a year now. It is called Giordano. It is linked below and it is all focused on videos related to mental health and psychology. So on that channel, I have one video posted that is an introductory video on my sort of plans for that channel and just like introducing this new chapter of my YouTube life. And for the rest of the week on that channel, I will have 6 videos dedicated to mental health awareness where I will be talking about 6 of the many different classifications of mental illness, about their criteria and symptomology and all of those really cool things. So I'm not going to go too much into it right now because that's the whole point of that introductory video, but I am so excited and overwhelmed and terrified, but ultimately really looking forward to starting a new chapter in my YouTube journey with you guys about the other half of my life that I am so unbelievably passionate about. So if you want to check out that channel, maybe subscribe if those are some things you're interested in. If you want to check out the official Mental Illness Awareness Week for this year, definitely head on over to my new channel. But today, I of course have to give you some new mental health book recommendations. Firstly, I want to talk about Under Rose Tainted Skies by Louise Giordano, which follows a main character named Nora who suffers from anxiety, OCD, and agoraphobia. Under Rose Tainted Skies is actually an own voices novel, meaning that the author of this novel has experienced the same illnesses or the same general marginalizations as the main character of this novel. So for Nora, the combination of anxiety, OCD, and agoraphobia is immensely crippling to the point where Nora has rarely left her house for the past few years. So a boy named Luke moves in next door, and as he tries to befriend Nora, Nora convinces herself that he deserves somebody better than her who isn't plagued by all these mental health issues. So as the friendship between these two teens develop, as well as some romantic feelings, Nora starts to question if she's really as damaged as she's always considered herself to be, and if maybe she can see herself in a different light. There is also an additional trigger warning for self-harm on this book, but this absolutely is one of my favorite mental health books that I have ever read. As YA often incorporates a romance, and a couple of other books on this list do have romances as well, none of these are a love cure novel. Nora's development is entirely based on herself and her own personal growth, and that is just always an essential thing for me to see in mental health novels. There's certain rep in this book that I can't speak for personally, but you can absolutely tell that it is written in an authentic way by somebody who truly knows what it's like to experience these illnesses, and it just comes across in such a way that you can't help but be impacted by Nora's story. Nora is truly a brave soul, and experiencing her story has just touched me in so many ways that I'm so grateful to have experienced it. So just thank you so much to Louise for writing this story, and I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a book that deals with these topics, because it is the truth, the absolute cold hard truth. The next book on this list is History's All You Left Me by Adam Silvera, which is another own voices novel that deals with obsessive compulsive disorder. Now, what I especially like about History's All You Left Me is this isn't a novel that is like strictly focused on our main character's Griffin's OCD. There is so much else going on in this book, and it just so happens that the main character also deals with a mental illness, which is not something we get a lot. Like, we normally get mental illness stories, we don't often get stories with mentally ill characters. So like, that is a novelty I really appreciated seeing. History's All You Left Me is told in the past and present, and it follows our main character named Griffin, who in the present has recently lost the past love of his life. And before his ex-boyfriend Theo's death, they had broken up, and Theo was dating a new boy named Jackson. So in the past sections of this book, we see Griffin and Theo's love story. We see the development of their relationship, the fall, the breakup, the start of Theo and Jackson dating, but Griffin still loving Theo. up until it meets up in the present where we have Griffin and Jackson, who have just recently attended Theo's funeral. And these two boys develop this sort of like unlikely camaraderie based on the fact that they are the only two people that know what they're going through because they were in love with the same person. So I really loved the portrayal of Griffin's OCD in this story because I can tell how authentic it is. Like, I know Adam personally, he's a really great friend of mine, and by knowing Adam, you can tell that like all of this in Griffin's story is also stuff that Adam experiences. For example, when my best friend Michael Bookland and I were talking with Adam one day at the history event, Adam had expressed that Griffin is always on somebody's left because Adam is always on somebody's left because of their OCD, and I was like, Adam Silvera has literally never been on my right, and I never noticed before. Like, the little sorts of manifestations of OCD that are in Griffin's story are also so true and part of Adam's, and it is so clear that it's an authentic portrayal. Similar to the way that Luke responds to Nora's mental illness in Under Rose Tainted Skies, the other people in Griffin's life don't make it out like his OCD are quirks or problems or anything. Like, they're really accepting and they're willing to work around Griffin's needs, which is so wonderful and healthy to see. And although this book deals with so much grief and heaviness and also some sort of romance, it really is about Griffin's personal development, and we really see so much change in him that comes from the heart, and that is always something I like to see in books about mental health. History's All You Left Me is a type of book that will make you laugh. It is the type of book that'll make you cry. It's the kind of book where you're gonna want to rip it in two because, oh my god, the twists in this novel are so wild. I still am not over it. It's a really, really fabulous, truthful, honest mental health novel, and I would absolutely recommend it. Next on my list of mental health recommendations is A Tragic Kind of Wonderful by Eric Lindstrom, which features a main character who deals with bipolar disorder. I have to say, although I do not have any personal experience with bipolar disorder, and I can really only base my interpretation of this novel based on my studies and my own personal research on the topic, I really, really loved this book. This book hit me in a way that so many books don't. Like, by the end of this novel, I was in pieces. I truly, truly empathize with our main character, Mel, and all of these struggles that she has gone through because, like, it is a hard-hitting book. The only people in Mel's life who know she has bipolar disorder are her family. She has had very close friends in the past that are still sort of in her life, and she has a new group of friends, and none of them have ever known about her bipolar disorder, and keeping that secret has caused a lot of issues for her in the past. And so this book really tells the story of Mel coming to terms with her bipolar disorder, learning how to cope and how to open up about it to friends, and it's just such a beautiful novel. And although I can't tell you if the representation of bipolar disorder is good, because again, I don't have it myself, I will tell you it is definitely well researched, and it has a lot of crucial information related to bipolar disorder that I was very happy to see as a psych student. A Tragic Kind of Wonderful is one of those books where you really have to experience it yourself. Like, there's so much I want to talk about, but I don't want to spoil anyone because the way the story is constructed is so emotional and powerful. And if you're interested in reading more mental health books, especially about ones that don't get a lot of representation, because there are just so many books about depression and anxiety and eating disorders, and things like bipolar disorder aren't often picked up. So the fact that this book exists is so amazing, and it's an amazing novel, so I'd really, really recommend you pick it up. Next book on this list is Definitions of Indefinable Things by Whitney Taylor, which is another Own Voices novel, as it features two teens who are depressed. I actually did a sponsored review of Definitions of Indefinable Things. Of course, all opinions are my own if I'm still talking about how much I love it, so I will link that below, and I also have a review of History's All You Left Me if you want to check that out as well. As I literally just said, we have a ton of books about depressed teens, but Definitions of Indefinable Things is so unique and individual that it definitely deserves more hype. So our main character's name is Reggie, and as she is currently in treatment for her depression, she is at CVS one day picking up her medication when she meets another boy named Snake who is also picking up his depression medication, and the two sort of gravitate towards each other as they are the only two individuals in each other's lives who know what it's like to be depressed. The issue is that 7 months ago, Snake got one of Reggie's classmates pregnant. So it's really the story of Reggie and Snake as they start to open up to each other for the first time, come to terms with what it means to live and to be with other people, and what it means to be depressed and how to work past that. And I really, 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 really love this book. It's just so different because I feel like this book really focuses on the anger and bitterness and resentment that can come from depression, and not just the sadness and hopelessness and worthlessness that we always see in the media. Like, I feel like this book focuses on different types of depression that real people people do experience that aren't really publicized and a lot of people don't get represented by. Reggie may not be suicidal, but she's cold and she's hardened and she just doesn't give a damn anymore. And this boy comes into her life that is the first person who truly understands what she's going through, and she starts to realize that there's maybe more for her and there's maybe things that she can do to overcome all of this pain that she's been experiencing to live a life where she feels that she's happy and healthy and thriving. So if you're somebody who is interested in reading more books about depression, but you'd like to get a little insight onto how it affects other people and not just the same story we see over and over again, I'd really recommend Definitions of Indefinable Things. I think it is such a strong novel, and again, it's so good, please read it. The next book I want to talk about is What I Lost by Alexandra Ballard, which is another Own Voices novel. I'm so happy with how many mental illness Own Voices novels I have on this list this year about anorexia. Our main character's name is Elizabeth, and she's recently been admitted to an inpatient facility for people dealing with eating disorders. And Elizabeth's view is that she's not really sick, she doesn't need to be here, she's just gonna do her time, get out, and go back to living this life of disordered eating habits. I have a 20-minute spoiler-free review on my channel of What I Lost, so I don't talk about any spoilers, but I do talk a lot about this book because I just have so many glowing things to say about it. If you're interested in reading What I Lost, I definitely recommend making a cup of tea, setting aside some time, and watching that review because I was blown away with how accurate, well represented, and just all around phenomenal this novel was. Other than having amazing representation for anorexia, containing an abundance of factual, correct, recent information related to eating disorders, and like the most beautiful story, it is focused on recovery, which is not something we get in mental illness books a lot. So many books about mental health are focused on the progression of one's illness from when it starts as they're really suffering, and at the very end of the novel they start getting help. This is like the very end of the novel when Elizabeth has started getting help, and it's all about her experience in treatment and learning that like her eating disorder doesn't have to have control over her, and there are things that she can do and types of treatment she can enter to live a better life, and it is so powerful. Oh my god. It is one of my all-time favorite mental health novels. It is absolutely my #1 recommendation for eating disorders and just for books about general mental health recovery in general, because the message of recovery is possible is just so strong in this book, and that is immensely important to me. I would recommend reading What I Lost a million times over. It is just literally one of the best mental health novels in the game, and it absolutely deserves more hype for the amazingness that it contains. So I would really recommend this one. So that is really it for my video for Mental Illness Awareness Week on mental health book recommendations. Don't forget that Mental Illness Awareness Week is happening at a different location this year on a new channel that I have worked my butt off for, so I really hope you guys enjoy those videos and are interested in coming along on this journey with me. So firstly, let me know in the comments below if you have read any of the books on this list and what you thought of them. I am somebody who is always willing to accept other people's opinions when it comes to their personal representation. So even if I loved a book that represented one of my illnesses, it might have represented you differently, and that is totally okay. I would love to hear your experience. And of course, let me know any mental illness book recommendations that you have for me, because you know I am a hoe for those books and I am always down to try them out. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!